Hi guys, today we're here with James Hayden, 2 times winner of the Transcontinental Bike Race, which is a crazy feat of human endurance involving 4,000 kilometre bike ride across Europe. So I find it utterly amazing that the human body can cope with this, and it's brilliant to have him here in the clinic. Today I'm going to be asking him about what movement and stretching means to him and how he manages it and how it helps him as a cyclist. So James, how do you try and integrate movement and stretching into your week, and how does it benefit you on the bike?
Yeah, so obviously I'm here with you today because I need a lot of looking after. My body is not in great shape, and so for me doing movements and stretches are a daily ritual. I aim for every day, and then if I make every other day, I'm doing quite well. And if I leave it for a week, my body is not in such a great shape really. And going to the osteopath and physiotherapy is sort of a weekly or fortnightly thing for me to keep in shape.
Nice one, thanks James. So we're going to get straight into teaching you James's 5 favourite stretches. They're the sorts of thing that not just help you on the bike, but they also then help prepare you for the life that you live off the bike as well. Cycling can be quite an enclosed, rigid sport to a degree. Obviously you're moving, but you're in fairly fixed position, relatively speaking. So these exercises are aimed at opening you back up. So here James is putting a little bit of tension into the band just by squeezing the shoulders apart and pulling the hands apart, and then simply taking the hands overhead. Some of the muscle groups that get quite tight through cycling are your chest muscles and even your triceps, just coping with the reverberations coming up through the ground. So this active exercise and active stretch can really help free up the connective tissue between the shoulder blades and the thorax, and some of the rotator cuff muscles as well. If you don't have access to a band, a nice way to open up the chest is in a doorway or just in the corner of a wall here. We're saying that whichever hand is in the door, that foot should go forwards as well. So step forwards with that same side foot, and then that will get a nice stretch through the torso, the tummy muscles. And as James is doing there, you can try different heights on the wall to open up various angles of the pecs, the serratus muscle, and even parts of the lats as well. Good time to hold this. I always say I like to wriggle and wiggle, so gentle twisting and turning and breathing into the stretch for up to about 45 seconds to a minute each side. That's a good amount of time. So next we're going for a lunge and twist, and you'll notice that James is twisting over the front leg. So something that doesn't get tested a huge amount in cycling but is very important is thoracic spine rotation. So the rotation in the part of our spine between the shoulder blades. So what we're doing here with this lunge and twist is we're getting a nice hip flexor stretch in the back leg, but also bringing in spinal rotation. And just to use a slightly geeky word here, we're using contralateral spinal rotation with the front leg. So the pelvis is going one way and then the upper back is going the other way, and that's bringing this good contralateral twist throughout the whole body. So here James is trying to focus on separating his shoulder blades from his thorax. When you're fixed in a position on the bike for long periods of time, it can really tighten up some of those deep connective tissues between the shoulders and the thorax and the neck. So trying to keep the elbows relatively straight and then shrugging the shoulders, and here using the roller to help get some thoracic spine extension really helps counteract the effects of being on the bike for long periods of time. I also like to use the breath in this exercise, just trying to expand your thorax into a stretch. We often forget that breathing is a form of movement, so just using the breath to help expand the thorax into the connective tissues, into the feeling of stretch, is a lovely way to add very gentle and mindful movement. So my favourite stretch, and it seems that it's James's favourite hip stretch as well, is what the yogis call the Pigeon Pose. So you just bring one knee forwards, and you'll notice that his left knee's gone in the direction of his left wrist. So you don't take your knee towards the midline, you go slightly off the midline to the outside, and then sink down into that hip. And then I like to bring a little lateral wiggle of the hips as well. So as you just shuffle the hips side to side, it brings in different muscle tissues. And then you can go from that stretch and just drop your chest down towards the floor as well. So you can be upright and extend the lower back, and then you can also sink forwards and I call it exploring. You're exploring your hip through movement and just gently wiggling side to side and finding what works. This is quite an intense stretch, and I typically find the best tissue change comes after about 90 seconds or so each side. So James often finds he gets tightness through the lats, the side muscles of the torso, and I definitely notice that to be quite common in cyclists as well, and particularly common in people that sit at a desk for most of their week and then buzz out on the bike at the weekend. So this is a variation on what the yogis call a warrior pose. James has just got the band attached to something about head height and then allowing the band to pull his arm overhead and activate his lats. You don't need the band, you could just hold on to a door frame and then lean back from the door frame. That'll get a lovely decompression through the deep shoulder tissues as well, so you can just hang back from a door frame or a post, and that gets a lovely decompression stretch. So I really appreciate James showing us his 5 favourite stretches. They are just 5 of a much longer list. James is incredibly diligent with looking after his body, so there are other styles of stretching that we didn't touch on today, and if you're interested in more stretches that could help you as a cyclist, comment below and we could certainly make more videos in the future. But I hope that helps give you a kickstart of ideas, and as I said, comment below if you've got any questions.